I'm Nicholas Wright. I'm an entrepreneur with a product that I think can help the elderly and the young sleep safer and more comfortably in the future. It's called Sleep and Save, and I'm looking to secure funding for my new product. Now, who here's seen the commercial? It was popular a while back with the elderly woman on the ground next to the bed saying, "I've fallen and I can't get up." That actually became kind of a joke. A lot of people thought it was funny. But I started doing research into this, and it's actually a really big problem. Something like 800,000 elderly people fall every year, and like 30% of those are from their bed. And there's even more young people that do it. And it can be a really big problem because you can bang your head, you can fall and not get up, and people die this way. So what I've designed is something called the Sleep and Save. It's a shaped piece of foam with plastic ends, so it's more sturdy, that you connect to your bed like this. This is the bed. So if you fall off, you land on foam and you don't roll off again. In theory, this will make it much, much harder to get into that position. So it's cheaper than a lot of the competition. We'll get to that in a little bit. But it can fit to almost any bed, provided it's not a bunk bed for obvious reasons. It's patented, and I feel like it could be used very well in nursing homes and hospitals to help prevent this all-too-real problem. So, some little statistics on this. 1 in 4 Americans will fall every year, and something like 20% of that is from the bed, 20 to 30. This is 78% of bed falls also occur in children under 6 years old, which is potentially more deadly because it's a much larger fall for them. They're much smaller and they're much more fragile. This is something that is trying to be fixed, but has never really been fixed adequately, because even with rail beds, even with hospital beds, people still fall out all the time, and they even fall trying to get into bed. Now, this leads to hospitalizations, it leads to deaths. It's a big, big problem. The competition for my product is, you might have seen this, it's a hospital bed, and this is the standard rail model you get on a bed. And these work to a point. The hospital bed's a very good solution, but they're incredibly expensive. They cost like something like $5,000 to $7,000 or $200 a month to rent. And rail beds, while much less expensive, they can be cold, they can be hard to move, and they actually make it a lot harder to get out of bed because you have to move around the rail and you have to move around the rail to get into bed. And this is just a big problem. The Sleep and Save, however, does not make it harder to get into bed. It actually makes it easier because it provides a step. It hinders not at all getting out of bed, and will catch them if they fall. And it's way cheaper. Something we want to go for $50, $70, which is about the price range you see for a lot of medical technology right now. And we wanted to sell it in bulk. We'll get to that though. These can wake people up because they hit the cold side and they wake up because they feel something cold or metal. They don't do that with Sleep and Save. They don't feel like they're cramped in like the hospital bed, which can honestly feel kind of like it's a prison. And honestly, this is kind of important to me because a few weeks ago, my grandmother fell from her bed, which was one of these models, and she hit her head on the ground and had to get a few stitches. And God thanked that she didn't break her hip, or she didn't go unconscious or get a concussion, because for someone that old, if you have to go into surgery, that can be deadly. And I'm just so thankful that she had to go to the ER and get stitches, but she didn't have to go through any surgery. She didn't have to be put under, and but it could have been. She could have died there. So yeah, the cost is immense for a hospital bed, and it's much, much, much smaller for the Sleep and Save. You can fit it to any bed without much problems. You might have to remove the nightstand, but to be honest, you shouldn't have a nightstand if you're thinking of if you fall out of bed a lot, because you'll hit your head on it. I want to sell these in bulk to nursing homes and specialty hospitals that specialize in the elderly and young children, because we could sell these to individuals, but that's really where profit and the best benefits are going to come from if we can sell them just in bulk to private outfits and hospitals that need a bunch of protections. Yeah. But, well, not actually a pushing yet, but just yeah. So it's one of those other things that can actually reduce overhead cost a lot for nursing homes. Because I've done a lot of research into Brookdale, which is a nursing home franchise here in Austin. And they have hospital beds there, and it's a big, big cost for them to get hospital beds just because they don't want people falling out of bed. And they have to send people around every day to check and make sure no one's injured themselves falling out of bed. It's a big problem. And here they would have a lot less overhead on how much hospital beds cost. They have a lot less overhead on having to send workers over every few hours at night, sometimes it is if it's a high risk, to make sure that someone hasn't fallen and broken something. Because there's a sense of safety insured when you've just fallen and foam. Now, in conclusion, Sleep and Save, it's a simple foam type thing. It's about maybe yay from this. You could make it smaller, and it reduces. You don't have to put rails on the bed. You don't have to get hospital bed. You don't have to remove the foot of the bed and put it on the ground, which is what some nursing homes do, which puts people at risk of dust and allergens that collect on the floor. It can help save people that are having health problems. It can help reduce risk at sleep. There's not really competition that does what it is. I searched all over. I could not find one product that does what we do on the market. It can mitigate the associated risks, even with the competition. And we think we can make a lot of money selling it to nursing homes and individuals, especially those that have young kids, like 6-year-olds that might fall out of bed because they're too old for a crib. And that's my presentation. I have forms out front if you want to invest. Just put your name down and put in what you want.